Hey guys, I am the Seaman235. A little bit of a warning. Not only did I record this once and I decided to restart this, so I'm especially tired, but my mouth is also sore because I burnt it when I was eating something. It was really hot and I burnt my mouth, and so sometimes if I talk for a while, it really starts to hurt. So if I stutter or I mispronounce something, it's usually because I probably hurt my mouth, or, could just be me fucking up. God knows I haven't done that in the past. That would just be weird. Anyway, I should say I'll probably stutter more than usual, since I always stutter. In fact, I probably did it at least 50 times during the minute I've been recording this, essentially. I said in one of my videos that I wanted to do a huge rant on Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I did. I recorded it. But I'm not going to upload it because, one, the video is a mess, and honestly, going through the effort and editing it honestly kind of seems pointless because everyone and their grandmother has made a video on it. Not to mention, I honestly think there's actually a video made by Arlo, which I will link in the description, not to let him speak for me, but I think, honestly, he really did cover everything. Like, if you want, everything on the table, Arlo, I think, made a really good video. I'll link it below, but it's pretty long. It's about a half an hour. But if you're a fan of Arlo and you've seen it, then you don't even have to bother watching it. But I would recommend that video over anything I could do, since Arlo is far more talented than I am. Plus, he's just a lovable little furball, so, want to pet him, though he'd probably bite me. He'd probably bite me, and I would, I'd probably run away crying. So, anyway, as for another channel I'm going to recommend, Distant Kingdom, because, one, I think it does a great job in covering Game Freak's, whether I can say it's incompetence or lack of time or both, I don't really know. All I know is that he does a great job covering the story. I don't always agree with him, but that doesn't really matter. He usually goes into very excruciating amounts of detail. I also think he does a great job comparing the models and the animations side by side. Like, seriously, I edit my videos in a very basic way. My editing is done on Windows Movie Maker. Yes, I know I shouldn't be using it. Shut up. Alright? I want to get a better software, okay? But I have to wonder how much time it must take for him to do that. Like, he has to go in to every single piece of news and look for these animations, and also go into his computer files and sees, all the models and animations for those models, and, compare them side by side. It's probably a shit ton of work, and I would never have the dedication to do that, but he does, and he's awesome for it. I think he does a great job. I think he has a really good compilation video as well, similar to Arlo, that puts everything on the table with his everything wrong with Pokemon Sword and Shield so far. Which, I know a lot of people hate CinemaSins, because CinemaSins recently has come under fire for some very legitimate reasons, but unlike CinemaSins, which blurs the line with comedy and nitpicky criticisms. They try to be critics, but they also try to be funny and nitpicky intentionally, and it's weird. They don't really know what they want to do. This one is purely criticism-based. It is purely made for critique, and not for funny stuff. That's what it is. So, it's far more focused, and I would argue, and this just might be my opinion, better than anything CinemaSins has ever done. But, you're on my video, and you probably most likely follow Arlo, since he has a shit ton of subs, and, let's be honest here. So yeah, you're probably here for my opinion. I'll put like a link, like a little thing in the video saying, skip to this point if you actually want to hear my take, because I can't just let them speak for me, because let's be honest here, that's... Well, this is certainly old-fashioned now, isn't it? Yeah, if you're wondering why the audio may or may not have gotten worse or better, I'm not really sure. Hey, at least this will be a good little comparison piece. Yeah, it's because my phone ran out of battery and it died. So, what I was trying to say is, you're here for my opinion, I shouldn't let them speak for me, that's not fair to me or to them, especially not to them. So, yeah, I'll just put like a little skip to. So if you're here, hi, I'm me. I'm sure I'm very special if you are clicking... no, I'm not. I'm not happy about the fact that they cut so many Pokemon, but I'm even less happy that they have pretty much little to arguably no reason to do so. I know what some people are gonna say. Oh, well, there's like over 1,000 of them now. I mean, 1,000. How could they possibly like redo so many animations, even though they're not redoing like 80% of them? Like, at the very least, and this is being very generous here, 80% of them are, like, not redone. And even then, like, most of them, if they are touched up, it's just that they're touched up, you know? There's, like, oh, you see, when Umbreon and Espeon in Poke Camp, like, when they run around and do their little animation, they turn their heads to look at each other. Wow, that's groundbreaking, even though it's not in battle. So, though to be fair, the Ami animations are actually good. In fact, I actually wish they used the Ami animations for battle. But that's besides the point. My problem isn't so much the models themselves. In fact, I actually have changed my opinion a little bit on that. I don't know if Distant Kingdom agrees with this, or if Arlo would agree with this, but I will say this. Like, I don't know what their opinion is on the models or the model quality. I don't really know what their opinion is, and I don't speak for them. I speak for myself when I say this. I actually think the models are fine. They were made to be future-proofed. So, using them for at least another good, I don't know, like 5 more years, give or take, maybe more, is fine. It really depends on how long the Switch lasts. And that's what I'm wondering. Like, once we get to a point where, okay, yeah, the Switch is done, they might make, I don't know, Switch XD or... I know, that'd be... XD. That would be pretty funny. But anyway, like, Switch X, or Switch Ultimate, or Switch something, whatever, Switch 2. When we jump up in hardware, that might be when the time has come to replace the models, because they'll be a bit out of date. But the models themselves, honestly, are fine. My problem isn't the models, it's the animations. The animations just look so low quality. Like, model-wise, I actually think most of the models are better in the 3DS titles than they are in the GameCube games, or say, Pokemon Battle Revolution. Alright, Battle Revolution might be a bit of a stretch, but still, the models look really good. I even love the cell shading effect they put on it in, I believe, X and Y, and maybe Sun and Moon. I'm pretty sure Sun and Moon has it, probably does. I see some videos where it doesn't. I don't know if it's like a mod or a hacked version or whatever. All I know is that I think the models look good. And I think keeping them is fine. Maybe you could update them so they look maybe like slightly better, update their textures, but like, they already have done that with the Kanto models for Let's Go. Those models and animations are the same. My problem is that the animations, simply put, look like they came from a 3DS title. And my problem with them saying, oh, well, you see, we have over 1,000 Pokemon, and we don't have the time to put in every single one, and like, like do them all and put them all in the game, and we don't have the manpower or the time. Except most of that stuff is already done. You ripped animations from the 3DS titles. You ripped models from the 3DS titles. Hell, the Kanto Mons, that's 153, because Meltan and Melmetal are in it. They are, they're done. And so, okay, that leaves about, again, this is assuming, because I believe they said in an interview or in one of the Nintendo Treehouses that they do want to break the 1,000 mark. So this is assuming that they are going to hold true to that. Whether there will actually be over 1,000 Mons, I'm not entirely certain. Personally, I don't think so. But you never know, I could be fucking dead wrong. So, assuming that they are telling the truth, and, they might, who knows, that's 153 out of 1,000 done. Okay, they still have a lot, but clearly they must have gotten a lot of them done since, a lot of people are assuming there will at least be over 400. That's how many there were in Kalos. The biggest regional dex, I believe, is Kalos, and it has like 430 something, which is the biggest regional dex so far. So, assuming they want to be bigger than Kalos, they would probably have to have over 450. Some people are speculating over 600. And 200 of those will probably be new, since, you have to reach over 1,000. We have 809 so far, I believe, with I'm counting Meltan and Melmetal as well, keep in mind. So, we have 809 Pokemon so far. That means we have models for those. So, not only do they have to create over 200 Mons, but they also have to touch up the old ones. Okay, that's a lot of work. Fine. Some people have also stated that because there's so many Mons, they wouldn't be able to fit it into a Switch cartridge, because, fun fact, a Switch cartridge does not hold nearly as much data as a double-layered, I don't know if it holds just as much as a single-layered, but I know that the best Blu-ray disc that the PS4 or the Xbox One can play holds more data than the biggest Nintendo Switch cartridge ever could. I am dead certain of that. And I know this because there have been plenty of games where they had to flat out just, say, Wolfenstein 2, that game in its entirety, it even has a note on the box saying, if you want to play this game, you need to download the rest of it. You need to let the game, patch the rest of the game in, because we weren't able to fit this into the cartridge. The cartridge is only a certain amount of the game. Spyro and the X Legacy Collection also did this, though with Spyro they did it for the entire, all versions of the game, besides the PC version, I think. Is there even a physical PC version? Most people just use Steam nowadays, so I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, the Xbox One version has that. The PS4 version has that, as does the Switch. I'm not entirely sure why, but maybe it was because the Switch version, or maybe it was because they were lazy. I'm not really... I don't know. I don't know why they did that. Because I'm pretty damn certain all three Spyro games could fit onto, the Blu-ray disc that they made. I mean, Crash did. I don't see why Spyro can't. Okay, yeah, Spyro is a bit more complicated in terms of game design, since it's more of a sandbox, and Crash's hallways in terms of their base design, base structure. But it doesn't, I don't see why it couldn't fit into one Blu-ray disc. Off topic. Anyway, X Legacy Collection also did this, but there was also 8 games in there, 2 of which were PS2 titles, which are a lot heavier on data, especially since X7 is a partially 3D entry. So, I don't know how these were made. I am not an expert on game design, but it's pretty obvious to me and a lot of other people that even with the biggest cartridges for Nintendo Switch, they aren't able to hold nearly as much data, and they're also more expensive to boot. So the higher, like, the better the cartridge, the more expensive it is, and mass producing that stuff is expensive. So Pokemon, in an effort to probably save money, doesn't want the cartridge to go over maybe 10 gigs, 8 gigs, I'm not really sure. That's just what I heard from a comment on Game Explained's most recent Pokemon video, so for all I know, that could be complete bullshit. I don't know what the best cartridge for Switch is, but if that is the case, and that is the reason why, you know, not every Pokemon is able to be in the game, and to be fair, there are some people who don't have online, there are some areas that are just as much of a dead zone as the Sahara Desert in terms of Wi-Fi. Okay, fine, but I don't understand why you can't patch them in, like, months after the game releases. Why not, when Pokemon Home releases, release a patch? In fact, everyone is actually saying, you know, you could just release a patch to, you know, put in the data for the rest of the Mons. Just put them in, like, via a patch. Okay, yeah, it'd be a big fucking patch, but it could be a patch. You don't even have to have it be like a patch that you have to download. You could actually make it free DLC. Now, I know some people are like, oh no, that's a horrible idea. No, hear me out. Xenoblade X, Xenoblade Chronicles X. I haven't played it. I own it because I wanted to buy it before, you know, Wii U games, like, they leave store shelves permanently, you know, because the Wii U's kind of suffering from a case of death, but that's besides the point. Xenoblade Chronicles X actually had a thing where I believe they had a patch to make loading times faster that was not, like, it didn't force you to download it. There was another one to let you patch in other stuff. If I can find, like, a video or a clip of that, I'll try to. But, like, it essentially lets you patch in certain quality of life things that really should be in the game in general, but because the Wii U had such a low amount of storage and not everyone had a hard drive for the damn thing, because Nintendo were fucking assholes when they did that, and they still did it for the Switch, and I'm still annoyed at that, but whatever. Point is, because of the lack of storage, they gave people options, especially for digital owners. I'm not sure if that applied to the physical copies as well. I'm going to assume it did, but if it didn't, please future me correct me. Why can't they have free DLC for Pokemon? Another example, Kingdom Hearts. The Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5 HD Collection Final Mix 1.5 Alpha 378 over 2 days. Dream Drop, Birthing by Sleeping Distance. Fuck me, that title is stupid. The PS4 version has 2 pieces of free DLC, one of which is a cutscene patch that actually adds a new cutscene, or a fight scene, for the Xion battle. Spoilers. Do you really want to play 358? It's not very good. But anyway, Kingdom Hearts 1 also had a movie theater. Unfortunately, because it was clearly added, like, after the HD remake, this means that you don't even have to beat the game in order to download it. But, okay, whatever. Point is, they just added little features via free DLC. You don't have to download them. You don't even have to look at them if you don't want to. But it's free. You might as well, if you have the space for it. They didn't force you to download it. I don't see why Pokemon can't have an optional patch where they just put in data for the Pokemon. They don't even have to appear in the wild. You don't have to have their Mega Evolutions, though that would be nice. You don't have to have the Z Crystals there. Those are native to Alola. You don't have to have any of that. If you could just patch in the models and the data and the animations for them, and touch them up a little bit, but you could do all of that in post. Well, some people will say, but no, they'll be busy with the next title. Really? They can't delay, like, Generation 55 just for the sake of doing us a favor? This has easily been one of the most controversial moves. Hell, I wouldn't even mind if this whole, oh, well, you can download a free patch for the rest of the Pokemon in the game. However, if you actually want to use that data, you have to transfer them over via Pokemon Home or whatever. If that becomes a staple for future entries, okay, fine. Maybe it saves time on development, maybe it saves you money on cartridges, whatever. Okay? I think it's a good way to meet both ways. And some people say, oh, well, wouldn't they have to pay Nintendo? Okay, I don't know how things work, but Pokemon is a second-party franchise, right? They're owned by Nintendo. Do they really have to pay money to Nintendo to put, like, and even if it was an issue, say it is, Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise in the world. It's not Harry Potter, it's not the MCU, it's not Star Wars, it's Pokemon. Fucking Pokemon. Why can't they just have a patch, an optional patch even, or free DLC for the data of the Pokemon to be in the game? Not for them to be in the wild, not for optional trainers, not for other stuff. I just want their data in the game. And considering they've ripped about like 70% of previous entries into Sword and Shield, like, I don't really see how that's too much to ask for. Am I really being a bit spoiled when I say this? I don't think so. Now, some people also would argue, well, I mean, they're trying to do this to improve the animations and improve the quality. Where is that? I know Masuda said he wanted to improve balance. He wanted to improve the animations. Where is it? Where is that? Where's the improvement? Like, I showed you footage of Distant Kingdom. I can show you more. I don't see that much of an improvement. Yeah.
But with the transition to the Nintendo Switch hardware, with its, it being much more powerful, allowing us to be much more expressive with each of the individual Pokemon. So yeah, we have the Pokemon wandering about the field. We call them kind of symbol encounters.
I had to dust off my 6-year-old Pokemon Y cartridge to get this clip for you guys. And voila! As you can see, the animation found in Pokemon Y from 2013 on the Nintendo 3DS is identical to the animation found in Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Nintendo Switch in 2019. Actually, the second time. The first time was in Pokemon Let's Go, where you see the exact same laziness. A Pokemon game from 21 years ago has better animations than 2 Pokemon titles on the most powerful Nintendo console to ever exist.
To be able to, exploit its power. So yeah,
We had talked about how when the weather changes, that specific Pokemon.
単性のバトルっていう風になってまして、今回の単性のバトルで、実際に戦ったり。
The models look the exact same. They share an identical topology.
There are little touches here and there. There are some brand new animations. Most of the Dynamax animations are new, though whether they're good is a bit different. It's just, I don't see an improvement. At least not a notable one. It honestly looks like an HD 3DS game. Like, if you took a 3DS game, like one of the Pokemon 3DS games, and just put it into HD. It doesn't look that impressive, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being an asshole. I don't think I am. I mean, I haven't sent death threats to I almost said Nomura. This isn't Kingdom Hearts. Like, I haven't sent any death threats to Masuda. I haven't sent any death threats to anyone at Game Freak. I don't do that. I think death threats are awful. I haven't sent false rape allegations, asshole, on Twitter. You know who you are. I haven't, like, sent bring back national decks on, like, when Masuda tried to congratulate someone on Twitter, like, for a wedding. I haven't done any of that shit. I do think fans have gone a bit too far in some ways. I haven't done any of that, though, so I don't think I'm being an asshole when I say this. And considering how many people have bitched, some a bit worse than others, I don't really think I'm alone when I think this. I don't see an improvement in terms of animations. And when it comes to balance, get the fuck out of here. Pokemon has never been balanced. Yes, I know they've tried to make it more balanced over the years. Yes, I know they've tried. Tournaments have abided by the rules of, like, different tiers for years. I'm not entirely sure on how tournaments work in Pokemon, but I know a little bit about it. Pokemon are placed in specific tiers, and depending on the tournament, you can only use Pokemon from this tier and the tiers below it. That's, I believe, how it works. Don't quote me. If I got something wrong, please politely correct me in the comments below. Because I will admit I am not an expert on this. But I do know this. Changing the fact that we can't, like, limiting the amount of Pokemon that we have in the games from now on, that only hurts the tournament setting, because that means there's less variety for Pokemon. And I feel that's less interesting. Oh, but there's still a lot of them. Okay, but it's not all of them. It's not the variety they could have had. Especially since we have Super Smash Bros., which only seems content in adding more. And I know that's a fighting game, a bit different, but for a tournament scene, that's pretty insane. And even then, it's just like, really? You're concerned about balance now? I understand there are some things that go too far and have to be changed from generation to generation. Generation 5, love it to death, but the competitive scene hated it because of the Weather Wars thing. You know, how weather effects were so overpowered, how Stealth Rock was so overpowered. So they nerfed a lot of that. They nerfed a lot of that stuff, which was a good change. They also changed a bunch of other shit. And while it wasn't perfectly balanced as all things should be, it was still pretty well balanced for the generation. But there were still things that were broken. There were still Pokemon that were very clearly better than others. It's never going to be perfect. That's not to say you can't try to make it perfect, but you're trying to make it perfect by giving us less features, which really kind of seems punishing. And even then, this isn't a fighting game either. Like, you have only been adding. Have you added too much? Maybe. But, like, this isn't taking away, like, a mechanic or two. This isn't taking away, like, Z crystals, even though they took those away too. This is stripping out, like, one of the core fundamentals of the franchise. Gotta catch 'em all. Now, some people say, well, that was only an English thing. Yeah, but it's still an important part of the franchise to a lot of people. There's a reason it resonated. It's in the fucking English theme song. And let's be honest here, a lot of people, especially in the West, hear it. It's probably one of the most famous... Can't say it's a video game song, it's not. It's sort of like the Mortal Kombat theme, where that theme is so synonymous with the franchise, yet it didn't come from the games, it came from a movie. But still. And on top of that, Pokemon has never really been very concerned about balance, because, like, Sun and Moon, they just sort of did whatever they wanted to, and, you know, the Ultra Beasts ended up being really overpowered. There ended up being power creep. Like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, same thing. Mega Rayquaza was a fucking nightmare in the tournament scene, from what I hear. And they didn't give a shit, they just did it. So, like, it seems like whenever things get too out of hand, that's when they do something about it, but unless things get out of hand, they never really seem to give a shit about balance. So, in Generation 6, shit got out of hand, so we fixed it for the new generation. Okay, fine. But, like, now that we fixed it, we'll just go back to not giving a shit. Now we want to... Did something happen? I'm sorry, I just don't see why Masuda would really give a shit. Like, forgive me if I'm being kind of... whatever. You get what I mean. I just don't see why they give a shit now. And even then, their way of doing it, I don't think is correct. I don't know how you would fix it, but I think there's better ways to balance a game than just removing shit from it.